In a serene park in Lorton, Virginia, you'll find a hidden gem of a monument dedicated to the women of America who fought for the right to vote.
I like to think of this memorial as the best kept secret in American history. And why is that? Because you don't find information in our regular history textbooks about the suffragist movement.
I got a chance recently to tour the Turning Point Suffragist Memorial in Occoquan Park during Women's History Month, alongside Pat Worth, the docent coordinator here. She told me this memorial covers more than 72 years of women's history.
And it's the only memorial, suffragist memorial in the country that does this. We look at all of the suffragists and talk about the whole movement.
I love learning about things we can do as young women and what older generations have done, anything we can do to make progress and really get our voices heard.
From Abigail Adams through the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote in 1920, Pat told me this memorial fills in a lot of the blanks that some curriculums may gloss over.
We're not told this in our textbooks in school. I only learned about two women suffragists and wasn't even told about the later movement.
The attention to detail is meticulous, and for good reason. There are 19 panels documenting the struggle of women fighting to cast their ballot, reflective of the 19th Amendment.
They even have 26 feet of actual fencing that was erected in the 1800s. This stood in front of the White House. Women picketed in front of it when they were advocating for the right to vote.
Pat told me what women went through simply for the right to vote wasn't always a glorious and triumphant quest. The Turning Point Memorial focuses on some dark chapters, including the infamous Night of Terror in 1917. Women who were picketing the White House were arrested for, quote, obstructing traffic on the sidewalk, unquote, a charge that doesn't exist, and thrown in prison.
They started picketing because they asked President Wilson numerous times if he would support suffrage for women, and he said, oh, that's a state's issue, there isn't anything I can do about it. They were referred to as the silent sentinels. They didn't make any noise, they weren't protesting and yelling and hooping and hollering, they just had signs like, Mr. President, how long must women wait for the vote? That sort of thing.
Pat says the women who were arrested were taken to prisons right here in Lorton, just feet away from where this memorial stands. They were beaten, tortured, and starved. It was only after word got out and public outcry reached a fever pitch that the women were released and the president suddenly had an epiphany.
The president went to Congress in January, 6 weeks later, and said, I've been thinking, and I think it's probably a great idea for women to get the vote.
That's just one example of the many inspiring and heroic stories told here.
Not very many people know about the suffrage movement being such a long story.
During my visit, I ran into a college tour group from Missouri who summed up what Pat says is the real core message here.
Those women, they held their banners and they placed them on the ground for us, and now it's our turn to pick them up and make waves in our government, in our world, anything to make a path for women.
In Lorton, Matt Kaufax.
Kind of being able to be in that space makes me really appreciate my civil liberties.
WTOP News.
For more stories like this, download and listen to WTOP Radio on our app or tune in to 103.5 FM.